to the inaugural Pathways to Success, sponsored by Functional Pathways. I am joined today by the fabulous Functional Pathways clinical team. My name is Karen Welsh. I'm the VP of Clinical and Reimbursement Excellence for Functional Pathways. I'm a speech therapist by trade and also love everything MDS and regulatory and therapy and program development. So really excited to get our Pathways to Success podcast off the ground. Also joining us today is Brittany Austin, who is our National Director of Health and Wellness, Jennifer Callahan, who is our Clinical Outcomes and Reimbursement Specialist, Melissa Brandt, also one of our Clinical and Outcomes and Reimbursement Specialists, and then also the fabulous Flora Muhammad, who is our Clinical Outcomes Nurse Specialist. Missing from our podcast today is our Clinical Program Specialist, Danny Bradbridge, but you will get a chance to see her on future releases of our Pathways to Success. So, what is Pathways to Success? You might be asking yourself. The whole focus of this is really to look at industry experts and share their knowledge to be able to enhance your education, knowledge, understanding of whatever different topic we may be discussing that month in the industry. So when we talk about that, Jen, what are some things that you think you would like to know a little bit more about in the industry that, you know, may not be in your wheelhouse, but you'd like to know a little bit more about?
So many things are not in my wheelhouse, but I'm building a bigger wheelhouse, I hope. But no, when I think about things that I and maybe even others, or I think others would like to hear about, it's really around transparency. Like, no matter what the topic is, being transparent about what makes up that decision, or what makes up that reimbursement, or what makes up those quality measures. Like, what's in the background? Where does all that come from? And who's in charge of coming up with those things? So I think transparency would probably be my biggest thing that I'd like to learn more about. And I'm thinking everything from like managed care payers, HMOs. I mean, just transparency around all those things.
Awesome. Thank you. Brittany, what about you?
So I think for me, the biggest thing, of course, I'm wellness oriented, so I'm going to answer with that in mind. But I would love to hear more about what's out there and what resources are available in terms of wellness for communities, and how wellness and therapy can really continue to partner together based on what's coming down the pipeline on the therapy side, and how wellness can play into that so that my wheels can get turning, and so can other communities and other leaders, to really figure out how can we continue that partnership between the wellness department and therapy.
So Melissa, one of our fundamentals for Functional Pathways is to be a lifelong learner. Why do you feel having something like this as a podcast and talking to industry experts is so important for our listeners?
I think we don't need to be in a rut. I think we need to continue to inspire ourselves and others around us, regardless of whether that's us doing CEU courses, or us listening to other professionals in the field, or even trying to inspire the next generation of therapists. We've got to really make sure that we're setting our patients and everybody up for success, as those of us who have been in the industry for 20 plus years move on to other things, really trying to make sure that the patients are still the focus, but we still have more education that we can learn and apply every day.
I think that's a great point. And I think too, when we talk about the industry as a whole, it's not just about just C-suite or the area directors or the ED. We're talking about the CNAs. We're talking about our frontline therapists. There's no reason that they can't have the same knowledge that a C-suite person can have, or maybe they want to have that same knowledge. Sometimes I'm not sure why, but sometimes what we know, we don't necessarily maybe want to know, but we do. So being able to have everyone have access to that knowledge and that understanding, I think, is so empowering and so powerful to be able to really encourage the industry to practice at the top of their licenses. Whether you're a therapist, whether you're a social worker, whether you're a nurse, administrator, C-suite, whatever you are, it's all about delivering the best care possible and understanding how we do that, whether it's through regulatory processes, legislation, different clinical programs, different industries, whatever it is, VR, There's lots of stuff about VR out there right now. So all these different things that we have the ability to learn about. So, I think to your point, Melissa, not just pigeonholing people of what they should be learning just because they're in this career line, but offering it out to everybody. And that's really what this Pathways to Success really is. So Flora, for you as a nurse, and not even necessarily just as a nurse, but as a healthcare professional, a mom, a wife, whatever, what would you encourage yourself to learn about? What would you like to see?
I would like to see more around knowledge around mental health illness, especially schizophrenia. I personally know several people that are dealing with schizophrenia. And when I've interacted with them, one of the things that I hear them say that they really don't want people to know because of that stigma around mental illness. So I want to know, how can we as healthcare professionals help the community to move past that stigma? And also, what resources can we help to provide those individuals that are dealing with mental illness? Because I don't feel like that there's enough resources out there for them. So that's what I would like to see about mental illness. And also, not only that we have to be mindful that they are humans just like we are. They have just a diagnosis of a mental illness. But to me, mental illness go hand with medical issues. Because if you have diabetes and you don't treat the diabetes, then what is that going to do? It's going to cause you problems with your diabetes, just like someone that's dealing with a mental disorder. If they don't address that and take the necessary steps or medication for that, what is that going to do for them? It's going to cause issues with further issues with their mental health.
Awesome point, Flora. I think we just got a nice little snippet of an industry expert when we talk about how we think about mental health in relation to a diagnosis. So thanks, I really appreciate that. So a couple of things for coming attractions in the next 3 months, since this is our inaugural Pathways to Success. This is really just meant to be an introduction, but I'll give you a little teaser of what's coming for the next 3 months. So in July, Kayla Collins, who is associate professor and graduate student program director at Baylor, will be talking to us about sleep hygiene and the things that we can do not only for our residents and our patients, but also for ourselves to encourage good sleep hygiene, because it affects everything that we do. They've actually been doing a study internationally on sleep hygiene. So she's going to share some of her tricks of the trade around that and the findings for that. So super excited to have her on board. In August, we will have the illustrious Cynthia Morton, who is the executive vice president at Advion, formerly Nasal. She will be talking all about advocacy. And we need every single buddy's boots on the grounds when we talk about healthcare advocacy, whether it's telehealth, whether it's physician's fee schedule, whether it's therapy services, whether it's Part B at home, whatever it might be, we need that advocacy. And again, that's not just the C-suite people that should be advocating. It should be all of us, whether you're a healthcare provider or a family member or a person in the community. It's all about that advocacy. So really, really stoked that Cynthia Morton's going to be joining us in August. And then in September, we have Colin Milner, who is the CEO of the International Council on Active Aging, and very, very involved in the healthcare industry. Super excited also about having him join and just kind of talk to us about what he's seeing across the spectrum from a wellness perspective, and how we can incorporate that, kind of to what you were saying earlier, Brittany, how we incorporate all those things and make sure that continuum of care is really flowing. So lots of exciting stuff coming down the pike. The clinical team will be involved in all of that. Lots of questions will be coming. If you guys would like, our listeners would like to offer up any questions or topics that they would like to hear, please feel free to reach out to us at clinical@fprehab.com, and we will make sure that we address those things as we can. We'll be doing this once a month around this time every month, so stay tuned for those, and thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks, everybody.